Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is CJ. Thank you for coming along. Today I want to talk about demand planning and stock keeping units. So let me give you a bit of background. I'm a certified Microsoft professional, over 10 years of practical experience with implementing more than 100 clients on either Navision or Dynamics 365. Recently retired, and I'm looking to put my skills to use for me. A good portion of my time is spent on trying to come up with some novel solutions for small and medium sized businesses because largely, either during the implementation process, they were either overlooked or didn't know or don't have the budget. And I think that in many cases, customers were expecting Dynamics 365 to do more, and were resolutely disappointed at some of the features and functions, which is not to say that it's not feature rich. It absolutely is. But I have a special tool set that I've leveraged. These are APIs for Microsoft via ODATA. So these are stock out of the web services area that actually give you the API and give it to the user, and you can do whatever you want with them. In turn, what I do is I turn around and do something I think highly creative and highly customizable. So largely, there are lots of great add-on extensions that you can buy or at least license. But largely, anytime you get into something having to do with planning and or looking at demand management, honestly, they're pretty basic. But then again, so certain customers have certain requirements, whether or not you have multiple warehouses, if you're binned, if you're lock controlled, et cetera. It starts throwing things for a loop. And then, of course, you get the planning piece into it, and it all kind of falls apart, and you're left with something that you're kind of hoping that it did a little bit more. So what do I do? I have enough experience to understand architecturally where I want to intercept and get data. So, for example, if you are in an environment where you have a very large, sizable database, you may not want to touch your item ledger entries, of course, because of just the amount of data that you've got to chunk your way through. But what happens is there are opportunities, there are fields and tables within Dynamics 365 that we can absolutely leverage. And one of those that I want to talk about today are the stock keeping units. Many of the small businesses just don't understand how they work or deploy, or for that matter, the consultants have no idea what they do, what they're meant for, and how they can actually be deployed. So arguably, yeah, there is a bit of setup that has to go with it, but I think arguably that you could actually take the perspective of saying, if I have a config pack, I can update and move things around, but I can do some things that the standard system won't. So just to be really clear, I'm exporting information out of Dynamics 365. I chose Excel and Power Pivot because most people have an advanced copy of Excel anyway. They understand Excel. I don't have to retrain or reteach or anything. It's there. It works out of the box. And guess what? It's free. It's there. If you know how to access it, then you absolutely can. So on the screen, I have a particular example where I'm using the standard Kronos database in V25 of D365. So no smoke and mirrors. This is stuff you can do yourself. It's exactly the same information. I have updated things, so I have some different sales orders. Now I've isolated on two items that have two warehouses for each of them. So there are 4 instances that you can see up here. Open sales demand by item by location using stock keeping cards. So pretty basic. What happens is I have a product here, GRH 1000. I have an east warehouse and I have a main warehouse. Now you can have as many warehouses as you want, but there is a setup that needs to happen, and I'll go through that in a second. But what happens is if I leverage the stock keeping card, I don't have to calculate. I don't have to go into the ILE table. I don't have to get availability by location. If you're using bins, I don't need the warehouse entry table either. I can simply extract it and say I have GRH 1000 in the East warehouse, 7-day lead time, order point of 48. When I reorder, it's 100. My available to sell is -3. Why is that important? Because I need to know what my on hand is 20, my sales order 23, I'm 3 short. So, oh, but I have 100 coming in on PO. But I don't know when they're coming in, but I know that I need to pay attention to this one. The other thing I have here is I calculate something called weeks on hand. So this is merely a question of over a given time of sales over a particular period, and I divide that into the on hand. That represents how many weeks supply of this inventory do I have on hand. So it says I have 2.5 weeks of supply based on what I've actually been selling. So I'll go into the math in a little bit, but essentially that's what tells me I have 2.5 weeks. Now, I don't have anything because I'm not sold it out of Maine, so I don't have a variable that will tell me for it. But on the other hand, I have no sales, so I have 15 for my available to sell. I could sell them all today if I wanted. Arguably, also this database doesn't have a lot of historical data. If I had a fully complete database, it would may make a little bit more meaning. Then I have GRH 1001. And I can see how much inventory I have. So I have 35 of this and 35, and the other one's total 70 units that I'm playing with. The next pivot table down below is open sales order by location, by item, by line. So I can actually see the GRH 1000, which is this product up here, and I can say, oh, there's the East warehouse, and I can actually see I have 23 on sales order. And I can see that, oh, yep, indeed, I have 23 on sales order, which confirms. But it tells me I have 8 in week 16, 5 in week 17, and 5 in week 18. So essentially for the next 3 weeks, including today, I'm okay. So it means that I have an ability to not sell out. So the importance is this is data that is easily accessible. We just need to put it in a rational format so that you can actually see it. But the way it works, if I go to Power Pivot and I click on my Power Pivot and I manage the Power Pivot, I can actually go and see how did I do this. And if I go to the diagram view, this is where I actually have 2 tables out of Dynamics 365. I have the SKU, which is the stock keeping unit, and I have the sales order lines. Oh, but I also have something else I call weeks, and I'll get to that in a second. So basically 2 pages. That's all I need. And it has enough information for me to do this. I have no restrictions as far as the item ledger entry, as far as culling through millions of records. It doesn't matter. The data is instantly available. Sales order lines, because it is an open document, you would hope that there's a certain amount of maintenance, and when orders are completed and invoiced and or received, that they're purged. So that table has a fairly small size, which means it's fairly compact and you don't have performance issues. Again, fully customizable. Weeks is something that I add myself. So this is a dynamic way that I could actually put in a value that I want to use for the purposes of calculating week supply of on-hand inventory. And it works out really well. The data view, if I go back to the data, it simply says, oh, by the way, these are the sales order lines, and I'm simply looking at the table, right? Nothing crazy. Everything is here. And if I look at the stock keeping card, I can actually see that I have 4 stock keeping cards for these 2 items. Now, if you are not using multi-warehouse, then of course you don't need the stock keeping card, maybe because you have the item card, and the item card would represent everything that's in that one warehouse anyway. So again, I could actually use the item card in replacement for stock keeping cards, and it works out really, really well. So what does that look like? Well, if I grab this and I bring in the stock keeping card, so if I go to the item, it tells me I have 35 on hand, I have 23 on sales order, and 100 on purchase order. Well, that really doesn't tell me anything. It just tells me this is what I have. But if I go into warehouse and I go to stock keeping units and I click on that item, GRH 1000, and I can see that I have 2 locations. If I want to add a new one, I simply go new, and then I bring up the location code and say I have a silver warehouse, and then I'm able to fill out the requisite pieces that sit inside. So why is this important? Well, it's important because if I go back to this guy here, Maine or East, let's take the East warehouse, I also want to leverage the planning piece of it. So the planning piece of it means that we could, if I have a warehouse on one side of the country and another one on the other side, I have to be very, very aware of what sales orders are being fulfilled out of what warehouse. The demand is going to be markedly different. So I want to make sure that I can anticipate what these are. And again, I could have purchase, I could have a make item, right? So in this case, it's a buy item. My manufacturing policy, it doesn't matter because I'm fixed reorder. So it simply says when I drop below 48, I'm going to order 100. Now I could use the order multiples and modifiers. That's fine. I could use also the dampener quantity and accumulation periods, which are something that built into the system that work just really well. But it also keeps track of the number of sales order at this location. So if I click on the next location and I go to Maine, I could see that I have no sales orders. Now, why is that important? Because I simply read the table. So when I come back into my spreadsheet, I can actually see that I have no sales orders out of my main location. Now, the other thing that's important is that you can actually run this against, if I have thousands of items, that's fine. I really want to concentrate, first of all, on the ones that I need to know that are going to hurt me. In other words, I have a shortage. I don't have enough stock. I need some sort of way to do this. Now, obviously, you can run the planning worksheet, right? There's nothing wrong with you doing that. So again, if I go back up into here, planning worksheet, the other benefit that I'm going to get if I go to planning worksheet. Planning worksheet understands the stock keeping card. So here I've actually run this before, so I can select more, I can manage and delete it and just rerun it. So it gives you the same availability. If I prepare and go to regenerate, same sort of things are available to us. I can run master production scheduling and MRP, run them separately or together. I have different starting dates. All of those things happen. I can also filter by location. I could also run it by item. So I've just run it for these 2 items. And when I click on it, it's going to tell me exactly what I need to do. Now, here it says, what do I need to do? Well, it says if I'm in the main warehouse, it says, what do I need to do? I need to order 240 and 50. And if I go back into my item here, I can see that on my order policy, I can see that I need 240 is here and I need 50. So the reorder points are telling me, so I can actually, I don't say I don't want to run the planning worksheet, I do, but planning worksheet, as you know, sometimes has maybe thousands of lines and sometimes it's a little bit cumbersome to get through before you manipulate it. So if you run this in conjunction, it makes a very compelling argument to say why you need to look at running ODATA APIs, especially when it comes time for stock keeping units and planning. This is not for everybody. This is for a power user. This is for a skilled user that's looking for a different tool set that they can manipulate and use by themselves. There is no import back into Dynamics 365. This is a one-way street. So I can't break anything. I can't do anything. I can't execute on it. Now, obviously, there are things that we can do, but I'll leave that for another day. The important thing is users have an ability at the end of the day or at a certain point, they can simply refresh it and get a lay of the land for things that have not yet happened. Right? So this is not transactional. Transaction means I have a sales order and I need to do something with it. This is the time period between when you take a piece of sales demand and when you're actually going to provision it. What decisions can you make? Right? If I have enough inventory, that's fine. If I don't have enough inventory, how do I get it there? If I can't buy it, do I transfer it? If I transfer it, how do I see it? Right? Costing aside, I'll leave that one for a different day. But this is a way that you can actually leverage APIs that exist inside of Dynamics 365 to help you. So I'm available on odata.ca. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube under ODATA. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to produce at least a video a week on things that I think are important for users that are there. If you like what you see, you can reach out to me. I'm available for coaching. I'm available under contract if you need something done. teaching, training, coaching. I can make your system better for not a lot of money. The other piece that happens is if you like something, you can actually develop it yourselves, so that if you do want to put it in and create an extension for it, this is a great way to do it, because you can actually encapsulate everything a developer needs to see and do, so you understand the behavior of how you want the system to work and how to make your system better. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.